Yo, what up YouTube? Today we're putting 2015 plus taillights and rear bumper on a 2011 Challenger RT. This video will apply to any 08 to 2014 Challenger. Oh my god. Whew. Just broke my new screen cover. Damn it. Well, y'all just see me drop my phone, but I have a new screen cover. It's cool. It just cracked. This is gonna be a 2015 rear end conversion. I apologize in advance, I'm a little drunk. The hell? We got a goddamn groundhog in my front yard. Anyway, let's get started. Alright, well I dropped my phone. It has a purple line across the screen now. That's irrelevant. On your Challenger, when you're trying to take off your rear taillights, you have these wing nuts you just twist off. So we're gonna go ahead, twist off the wing nuts that are fastening this taillight. I think there's 4 of them on this big light, and then there's some back here, and then the taillight plug. Now these have to come off. You're gonna want a tab popper. Basically just work your way behind that. It comes right out. Boom. And now, I believe these should come out. There is a screw of Phillips. Damn, my camera's messed up. There's a Phillips right here. So we'll get that off. So we got to pop these covers off on the side. They just pull off like this. Boom. And then this side doesn't have it, but there's a T15 screw you take out right there. Now these should come off. I believe I got all the tabs. I don't think those matter. This should come right off. We're about to see. Alright. So I was right. Once you get all those off, it pulls right out. And you got this main pigtail to disconnect.
You have a chance to dig out that lawnmower.
So when you get this pigtail conversion kit on your 2015 plus taillights, this pigtail will be plugged in by default. You're going to want to unplug that from there. Keep that plugged in like that. And then in your conversion harness, which I'll have linked in the description for the taillights, this black pigtail for the middle light is going to plug into this, like so. And then your black and yellow wire, you're going to cut the blue and white wire and splice that in. So yellow the white, black the blue. You're going to splice and heat shrink those in. Forget about this pigtail. And then this one will be plugged up to your car harness, and it will make everything function, the button and the taillights. So we're gonna go ahead and cut this white and blue light, splice them into these, and then put it in. So this is the part where a lot of y'all probably need help if y'all never done wiring. You see, I revealed just about an inch of the actual wire from under the skin. And that's going to be to do the same to these. And then that wire that's revealed is going to be tied in and then heat shrink over. And you're going to want to use these. This is the cheapest, easiest method for a DIYer. And to show you on camera, it's hard because I'm one-handed, no help here. But let's say about there, you're going to hold. And then you're going to want to use one hand and hold on the other side of the wire so you don't tear it. And then pull this tool off. And it'll take this casing off. So let's see if I could do it with these. I got some of it off. you could see, but I need just a little. Oh, drop my phone. That's how I fucked it up. Use one hand, pull, and just like that, you got wire revealed. And now that's enough to splice into what you just did on the other side. So we're going to do it with this one and then splice them up. Now remember, black to blue, yellow to white. The colors might be different. In the video I watched, the guy got the same harness conversion and the colors were different. So it might change. I don't know. Just keep that in mind. But now we got both these shown. Boom. I'm sorry if my exposure is really bright. Oh, it's going up. So we got all that shown, and on this side you can see we got that shown. So we're gonna tie them in, and then we're gonna use heat shrink with a heat gun to shrink over where the wires are connected and, you know, firmly connect everything. So I'll show you guys that process. So we got our heat shrink on one side of the wire. So now we can tie in the bare wire and then put the heat shrink over it and use the heat gun to shrink it. So I'm gonna try to record this process. Black to blue. It's really hard to see, but you're just basically tying in the wires. It doesn't have to be perfect as long as bare wire is touching and it's holding good. It doesn't have to be pretty. Not that you don't want it to that. You know, not that you don't want it to look good. If you're a DIYer like me, you start somewhere. It may not always be perfect, and that's alright. So we tied it in just like that. Boom. Now you cover it with the casing, and you do the same for this side. I don't want to tie that bare metal in. Like I said, there's no particular way I do it, but I'm sure there's people who are professionals and do better than me that might criticize this. Sorry in advance, I'm not a professional. I just do shit because I can't afford to pay people. But if you watch me, you know that I'm not no professional. I'm a DIYer all day, baby. I get shit done. Alright. Now we got those tied in. Heat guns on. You just fucking heat shrink those suckers. Now this wire with the casing on it will tighten it together where it's tied in. So even if it ain't perfect, as long as it's tied in tight enough with this heat shrink, it won't go nowhere. Even if it's poking through the casing a little bit, it happens. May not be craftsmanship, but I mean, we're DIYers here trying to save money. As long as it works, it don't really matter, right? No matter how good of a job you do anyway, people will criticize you. So does it really matter if you DIY stuff yourself when it works, but it ain't the best way? If it works, it works on a budget. Well, you guys see that heat shrink has shrunk down. So now we could just plug this right in and it should work. So let's see. We got them plugged up. Let's put back in the same clips and screws we had in. So we got this on. Now to get these on. Oh my God, until trunk's about to knock me out. Take these caps off and unplug the pigtail and it should pop right out. Don't even need to take the bumper off, but we're taking her off anyway to put the new one on. So There's gonna be a red tab. Pop it out like that. Put pressure on this part. Comes right out. Now we can remove this rear bumper. You see, we got the tail lights on, but not the left and right. We're gonna wait to get the bumper on to do that, so let's get that. First off these, twist off these tabs. These will get popped up with the push button or the push tab tool. That blue one I got. Don't gotta be that exact tool, but any push tab tool. Take these out. They will prevent the bumper from coming out. And like I said, tab popper. You get up underneath there. Alright. I'm gonna try to show you guys so you don't struggle like I do. So I know sometimes seeing an example is easier. This one's on there really good, man. We might need to use our screwdriver to help us. Let's see. No, I think we could get it. So you get it lifted up a bit. Now you get under there. Boom. So you just gotta work it. That's all. You gotta want it. You do the same on this side. Pop up the half of it and then get under that. Boom. One hand. So if I could do it, y'all could do it. Twist this off, and then I believe on the side in the wheel liner there's a couple of push tabs. You'll use the same tool we just used, and then like a 9mm bolt, one bolt. There's a bolt here. Y'all might not see that bolt there. I think it's a 9mm, but I'm gonna check. And then all these are push pin tabs, and then that's it. So let's get it. I use the 7/16 socket wrench. It may be different for you. Sometimes people use different size bolts for the bumpers. But once you get those bolts off, you just got these push pad Tims. Oh, that exposure's way too bright. But you got these. We're gonna go ahead and try to pop these out. Damn. Those look like rivets. I'm gonna have to drill them out. I don't know who thought that was a good idea. Underneath, there's two bolts the same size as the side wheel liner, and in my case that was 7/16. So don't forget to take these off underneath, and then once you get the other ones off I showed you, this should come fully off. Once you get it off, you're gonna want to take your pigtails out, and the main harness needs to be disconnected. Just like I suspected, it completely fits flush. You have to take the absorber off the 2015 rear end, and I have to figure out the harness and how to wire that. Oh shit, something just came off. Now we about to put them tail lights on. See how she looking. So something important to note is with these pigtail conversion harnesses. So boom, you know, you plug it up like so. That's locked in, and then this plugs into the 15 up taillights. These, the resistors, they get very hot. So instead of just tossing them in here, you're gonna want to mount them somewhere like here, for instance, so they don't touch on any of the plastic and melt it. That's all. So remember, you got to mount these with the drill. So we're about to do that. Y'all can see we got the rear 2015 up tail lights on. Everything's working. We got the yields on, brake lights work, rear bumper fits. I don't got the harness or the tail light or license plate wired up. I have to figure that out. But if you take the absorber off and put the tail lights on, everything does fit. Fitment ain't completely perfect, but I mean, that's kind of like Dodge, even if it was the 2015. It's kind of accurate. This side fits a little better. Maybe I could adjust that. I gotta polish these taillights. They're super cloudy. But shit, they work. All right, you guys, so this is the final step for the conversion. Making the side markers work in the license light. Same process for the side markers in the front. But the rear one, I'm not gonna say it's a little more difficult, but there's more to it. So you got the old harness that'll plug right into your 2008 to 2014 Challenger. And the new harness, the 15 up one, what we're gonna do is use our old harness and just splice in the license light and the side markers, because we don't need this additional stuff and there's less wiring if we do it that way. So what we're gonna do right now, so you guys aren't as confused, is pop out this old wire harness, and then I'll show you what to do next. All right, guys, so here's the deal. We cut the 2015 license plate plug off, the pigtail that goes into the license light. We cut that off as far back as we could, so we have some length to work with from the harness. You can see I cut it from right here, so there's not much left, because we're not going to need this harness, so make sure you do this right. And we cut off the 2011, my 08 to 14 harness license pigtail. Won't need that. And you could see with this 2008 to 14, there is 4 wires, and there is only 2 with the 2015 one. So what we're gonna do is splice each negative and positive both in these 2 wires, and then heat shrink them together. I'm sure you could get away with just doing 1 wire, but since there's 4, we're gonna connect each one positive into these 2, and then 1 negative into these 2. And yeah, we're gonna use these crimpers to pull some of the shell back of the wire. That way the wire is exposed and we can heat shrink it together. So we're gonna go ahead and do that now. So for those who don't know how to use these, there's different size slots for each thickness wire. And you see we already got 1 shell off and exposed the wire. So what you do is, for instance, get it to like this, get a little further back, boom, you see the shell pulls right off, and now you got your exposed wire, and you could splice that into another wire. It's that easy. Alright, you guys, so before you judge me in the comments, any pros, I'm not a professional, but I tied in those 2 negatives to the 1 negative in the pigtail, and I got some heat shrink. You can see right there, I cut it short. The heat shrink's gonna go over where those wires are connected, and you're gonna shrink that with a heat gun, and I'll show you how to do that. But we're gonna put that heat shrink over this wire and then do the same with the positive. All right, this is hard without a tripod, but you guys see, connected both the wires. Got our heat shrink on, we got our heat gun. Put it at a low setting. And there you go. I am by no means a professional at all. It's not the prettiest, but hell, it is gonna work, hopefully. But that is the license. And now we're gonna do the same for each pigtail. So keep enough wire when you cut it. Don't cut it short from either side. And it's gonna be the same process. So let's get into that. To give you guys an example, this is the old LED, or the side marker, and then new one. You can see where the old one, I have some damage on mine. I'm gonna cut right there. So the new one, we're gonna cut at the same length right next to it. So about right there. So make sure you just cut them the same length and you don't make your wires too short so they could reach. So we're about to go ahead and cut the side markers and then wire those in. All right, I tied these wires in, put some heat shrink over them. Now, all I gotta do this side. This was easier because it's just one wire to one. Just heat shrink it. And then we're gonna do the last side. All right, so passenger side, the 15 up is just 2 wires, but for some reason on the passenger side of the 08 to 14, this one's ran by 4 wires instead of 2 like the driver's side. So I'm gonna do what I did with the license plate connector. We're gonna take the casing off these and then run both the negatives into the one negative there, both the positives into the one positive there. Heat shrink these up, and then that's it. The only things you have to wire for the 08 to 14 is the side markers and the license light. Everything else, I think that's like for newer 15 up features, like when you get too close to something, or I don't know what that shit is, but I don't need it. So when you're doing the 2 wires to the one like this, a trick I do is put the heat shrink over the 2 wires together, then the 1 wire you wrap in between these and then slide that up. It could be tricky getting the heat shrink to pull up if it's tight like this, but you just got to make it work. You got to want it. All right, so we're gonna see if my method worked, but I mean, we got the license plate light spliced and both the side markers. We took the old harness fully off, we don't need that. And we're gonna plug her up, see if it works. All right, you guys, that's it for the video. The full front and rear end conversion is done. The only thing I didn't do is the front side markers, which I'm just ending now because I want to upload this video. And you guys see how I did the rear harness. It's the same as the front. You use your 08 to 14 harness for the front bumper, and you just splice in 15 up side markers. It's very self-explanatory. But we got the gap looking pretty good. It's fitting pretty nice. And you see side markers working in the rear. As I showed you guys, the rear is the same process for the front. And you can see plate light working. Other side marker working. So that's it. I mean, I know you guys still see the tail light is slightly off alignment wise, and I believe you could adjust. I tried adjusting these lights, but I think adjusting the actual tail light bar is what I'll have to do. I think I have to lower it a bit, but I mean, it don't look too bad. But she is fully washed, fully converted to a 15 up. I gotta get a new hood, do some interior things, but first thing first is I'm gonna get these bumpers paint matched. And if you guys enjoyed, don't forget to subscribe. If you're new, drop a like, comment, leave me suggestions on videos you guys want to see. I'll be making videos with the green Charger soon and updates on that, but she's still around and I'm keeping her, so don't worry about me getting rid of it. We will be wide bodying this sometime eventually, I just don't know when. But don't worry, that'll come. I just wanted to do the modern front end and rear end conversion for now. Make it look like a current gen. And I think we succeeded. But that is it for today. Hope y'all enjoyed. Peace.